Yo, parish orphans and retrogrades. Today, joining with me is my director extraordinaire, friend Nicholas A. Stumphauser. We're going to be talking about updates to the film we're working on. There are many of them. Plenary promise that can be adequated in many ways because there are several updates. And we're going to get right down to it. But a lot of it involves Nicholas, the current events. And I just want to jump right into it by saying we are having talks with many major conservative media around Thanksgiving, Christmas about this film, many of whom were very, very interested. And what we promised was that What a Woman Is, which we're pitching as a sort of sequel to some conceptual films that have already been made.
Totally indiscernible what those films may have been.
what the films might have been. That it would be the issue of 2024. And it became the issue of 2023 in the summer, largely because of the spectacle of Pearly Things. And I said, look, blank, it's going to be the issue in 2024. And blank said to me, well, no, isn't it going to be the election, though? I was like, no one cares about the election. Everything is fake. Everything is fake and jahay. So it's you take it away, man. I mean, it's promising to be the issue of 2024, and no one gives a flipping side doodle about the election.
I was just going to ask you what's happening with the election. I was going to ask you, or like, who's playing in the playoffs?
Yeah, like I don't follow sports ball. Who's in it this season? Who's struggling to make a playoff berth? I think they're all out, aside from Warp Speed Man.
Yeah, Warp Speed Man and Uncle Joe.
Yeah, who will probably be replaced. But here's the point: no one cares. Everyone's like, can he do it this time? It's like, well, we all think it kind of was him climbing the mountain last time, but he didn't get his propers. So that makes people not care. We don't want to go any into it. And just as you and I told our friends at the major media, our friends, look, the intersexual dynamism is going to continue to be the issue for real conservatives in 2024. And you could tell from Daily Wire that we were right, because Pearl Davis is going on. Clavin had a talk with Knowles that I'd like to make a few references to. She went on Whitlock the other night.
Yep.
And I will be going on Tim Pool's show to debate Rollo Tomasi this Friday. And you will be coming with me, filming me. Why are you doing that again?
Because we're making a movie.
About what again?
What a woman is and ought to be.
What is she and what ought she to be again? I can't remember. You got to watch the movie.
Perfect.
You got to watch it. Find out this fall, hopefully, God willing. Yeah, so it's a little also unnerving that it is becoming the subject of 2024, only because our Blessed Mother told Sister Lucia that the last battle between the church and Satan is going to be between marriage and the family.
Right.
And it's like, well, I don't want this to be the last battle. Like, are we that close that this is nobody cares about politics anymore? It literally has come down to what a woman is, but it seems like that's what it's come down to.
Right. And that we have this sizzle that I'm always trying to get you to show everyone.
Never.
And you have a block that you won't. It's a 12-minute sizzle, and you have that Sister Lucia quote from right at the beginning. And it's so true that politics are stupid and really downstream of the family, and that there's pretty much no other attack that could be waged. And therefore, we had to make this film, What a Woman Is, because as successful as Daily Wire's What is a Woman was and will be, And it was a good. You saw it and thought more highly of it than I ever. I usually hear you talk about other documentaries. It didn't answer the question. I mean, except I guess in terms of material causation. You know, we do the 4 causes here on Rules for Retrogrades. Materially, a woman is an adult human female. If the deepest you're going to go out of Aristotle's 4 causes is saying materially caused by being an adult human female, good. That's a start to a correct answer. But what we're really after is a formal cause and a final cause. People know efficiently what causes a woman. It's intercourse. But formally and finally, the question has not been answered, and that is what a woman is going to do.
Yeah, when Richard Dawkins agrees with you, like, you're not breaking new ground. He just tweeted recently about some DNA chromatography that shows you whether something's a man or a woman. He's like, sex is binary. We have known this is
no one ever didn't know that. No one ever didn't know that. If you're talking about the new puppet show, which Gaines says the proposition, then like, okay, cool. But where, as I've been saying for a long time, GD, D beginning the word dysphoria, began in earnest around 1848. And that was just feminism, a woman thinking she can be a man, act like a man, be a man functionally, start talking about gender roles. And then really in around 1990, GD wave number 2 broke off from feminism, and that was L and B and G. And then around 2014, 2015, you throw in the T for not Tim, but for something else. And that was the third wave. And then conservatives started making movies about it when it was in its least potent, least demographically relevant iteration.
They're like, whoa, which is so emblematic of conservatives to be like, you know what, this is our line right here. After a century and a half of malfeasance, we're putting our foot down, buddy.
Yeah. You do not say. Girls can be in men's sports, but if a man tries to play a man's sport while a girl is playing it, then we draw the line. It's like, that's weird. And again, we're not smack talking. It's just, so conservatives began getting really mad over Bud Light and men fighting in UFC against women who shouldn't be in UFC in the first place because that's gender dysphoria. And they're like, whoa, this guy's dysphoric. He wants to fight against a woman in a man's sport. I'm like, my brother in Christ, that's true. That's true. But don't you see that a woman in a sport is gender dysphoria as well? So this movie has all kinds of implications, and it generated all kinds of excitement among the biggest media in conservative media. I mean, real excitement. We were pitching it as not the, and it's not going to be the trolling little brother film that one-ups criticism of third wave gender dysphoria with criticism of first wave gender dysphoria. It will just do that in a non-trolling way. And here's the first update. So I want to talk a little bit about the current events that will make this continue to be relevant. But I do want to talk about, in the most proper sense of the term, what is an update for us with regard to the movie. It's a tragic setback. It's an unfortunate thing, and some of our dear friends who have been EP for many, many films have had to bow out because of serious health diagnosis. And this provides, so everyone please pray for one of the parties who informs an EP, executive producer, a funder, mainly a funder of a film is an EP. Who had to drop off. Please keep, you can do this, kind of an in abstracto recipient of prayer in your prayers. But this leaves the opportunity for someone, or maybe two people who are Catholics who like to do this sort of thing, to step in and fill the shoes. We still have one or two parties who we expect to act as EP. And this means that really with moderate sized action toward the funding of this film, which you bought cameras. We're starting. You're rolling with me out to Washington D.C. on Thursday, and that's gonna be in the film. That'll in some wise will be in the film, and we are going to start interviews soon. So this thing is beginning production, but it was being held up by the news from our dear friends who have had to bow out. It was being held up because we were kind of waiting to see what the full diagnosis of that and another sizable setback they were experiencing would be. And so we held up a little bit. You want to say anything to that, Nate, in production-y type terms?
Yeah, just making movies is really hard, whether it's Hollywood or independent. This is by definition independent. And I've told you this before with entrepreneurship in general. There's a paradox in entrepreneurship where when you solicit funding for a project, whether it's a creative endeavor or something that you're eventually going to sell, people who might potentially invest, they often want the security of something that's already 2 years into success, right? So if I were to go to a bank and say, hey, I need a loan for $250,000 to start a company, we're going to sell car tires. They're like, okay, we need to see 2 years of sales. You're like, well, no, I'm trying to start the company. And they're like, yeah, we can't give you the money unless we know we're going to get the money back. It's like, well, I can't get you the money back until I have money to start the company. And so it's this paradox. And sometimes you break through that and you make something out of nothing. And you get commitment from somebody who can see the vision in the way that you see it, and they understand that, yeah, there's a risk, but it's a risk worth taking, and that the upside is huge. And we found those people. And I was actually talking to a mutual friend about this. I was like, it's not surprising how hard it's been to get from 0 to 1 on this, because of the implications of what we're about to do.
Yeah.
There's going to be diabolic impediments, or just anything that can go wrong will go wrong sort of thing. Which seems to be what happened with The Sound of Freedom, or at least that's how they were presenting it, for all the obvious reasons of what the implications of that film were. And it's not a cope and it's not a reflexive excuse for religious people to say, oh, well, spiritual warfare is at play. It's like legitimately spiritual warfare. And our mutual friend was telling me, he's like, well, that can sound like a self-important reason.
Yeah.
And I said, it can, except I know for a fact you and I don't see this as like our project, in that it's our project because we're the ones physically doing it. And you and I are in love with the story that we're telling. But the stuff always sounds so corny. It's not our thing. Like, you're not telling truths that you made up. These are like God's truths.
Yeah. And
so if they are going to have a positive effect, it's because they were true first. And it's really hard to get stuff from 0 to 1 when it's good, when it's right. When it's degenerate, there's no risk involved in monetizing degeneracy.